My mom's actually reading the 50 Shades of Grey.
Isn't that a porno?
Now.
Go.
Hello. Welcome to Making Decisions for You. My name's Anders Nielsen. That's always my name, even when I'm sleeping. Tonight I have Connor McGrath.
Good evening.
And Dr. Adam Ferguson.
Gets me every time.
Now, Connor McGrath is an esteemed liberal Democrat in our community of Portland, Maine, USA. And Adam Ferguson, doctor, lawyer, philanthropist, lover, is a Republican from the right wing, as I understand. Yes. And would you like to do a brief introduction, sir? Yourself?
Yes, I would, Anders. As an esteemed longtime Democrat since 1986, I've been attuned to their viewpoints, got to know them and love them, from the easygoing charm of Bill Clinton to the drawl information spewing of Al Gore to the quiet sexiness of Joe Lieberman. I've came to know and love many Democrats, and not in a homosexual way, as Adam Ferguson might say, but in a respectful, manly way. And I think the Democratic Party is the party that cares about people. I was talking to Adam Ferguson before the show, and we was talking about my neighbor from Malaysia, and he said other countries, they can keep the tired and the poor because we have too much of them here in America. I just think that's wrong.
Well, I would like to hear a little bit from Dr. Adam Ferguson about himself before we get into the issues. Can you please enlighten us, sir?
Thank you, Anders. It's great to be here with you. I can't say the same for my colleague. Esteemed liberal, I think, is an oxymoron, frankly. And I just want to say this, too. If you work with your left hand, you're more likely to die and get into an accident. I think that says all I need to say about that.
That's science from the doctor.
Absolutely.
My name is Anders Nielsen. I host a local show. It's called Making Decisions for You. Maybe you've heard of it. And I am completely undecided in everything. Therefore, I have no political affiliations. We're coming to you live, in fact, from the Undecideds Convention. This is where a group of undecided voters get together and just say, what?
Incidentally, I think Joe Lieberman's the keynote speaker tonight.
Yes, I believe he will be here. I think that they're going to helicopter in a lot of celebrities tonight. As you can see, things are getting real heated back there.
You can just hear the people just shouting in the convention hall over
Yes.
what they're going to do. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put partisanship aside.
Yes, we'd like to make some decisions
And we're
tonight.
going to make some decisions. Me and this little evil gremlin are going to put aside our differences for the sake of America, a country that we both love.
See, I'm undecided about that.
Right.
I think I love it. I've lived here my entire life, but maybe you guys can convince me.
Let's hope we can.
Now, our Congress doesn't pass a lot of things, it doesn't agree on a lot of things, and neither does our city council, as it would happen. And that's one of the issues we'd like to get into tonight, is people who are running for city council, who are they?
In Portland, yes, we got a lot of candidates. We have over 17 districts in the city of Portland alone, not to mention in all the other towns and cities across Cumberland County that this show is airing in, or on YouTube. We're on YouTube now, actually, this new video website. And they have city councils of their own in every town and city in America. And we can't get into those issues of the city council of Riverside, California. We got to stick to what we know.
We have an episode specifically for you. It's only airing in your area, so just keyword that, and hopefully your GPS will zero in and +1 it for you.
Right. So in the city of Portland, there's a number of really great people that I would like to endorse for city council. I'm not sure who's actually running for city council this year.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about Portland right now, is that no one knows. In fact, we did a little research, and we've actually have our picks tonight, one from each of the parties, and then 3 more from no party in particular. So 5 candidates that we think might run for city council at some point in the future.
Yep.
So perhaps, Dr. Adam, you could tell us a little bit about who you picked for city council in Portland this year.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a tough decision because, I sometimes don't know why I live here, frankly. I mean, Portland is a hotbed and an orgy for liberalism, and sometimes I feel like the lone voice, crying out silently in the, sea of welfare this and arts district that, and so I think that, frankly, we should just go the other way and just wash it all away and bring back the people's hero, Philip Morris. He ran several years ago, and I think he'll be enough to scare all the liberals away and bring back someone like Peter Chinquette or someone else like that who can really restore a good conservative bedrock to the city. Finally, Cheryl Lehman won't be the lone voice in the darkness saying, "What's going on here? I don't understand."
Is Philip Morris, is he the cigarette guy?
No, he's the people's hero, but spelled with a U, the way to spell it in Middle English, I believe. I haven't read a book in a few years, but
I think there's a movie about people loving him.
Yeah, he is the people's hero, but he's a people's hero of an uneducated and easily scared population.
Indeed.
The person that I would like to offer up as a city council candidate is a person that many Mainers know and love, is Rob Caldwell from 207. I think he knows how to make the tough decisions, just as you do on this show. Every night on 207 we see him, how to interview the cast of Burn Notice. How to make a really great baked beans recipe.
I think he has more than one show on the news station.
Right, he's
isn't that correct?
he's on the 5:30 news and he's on 207. So
He's like the Brian Williams of Cumberland County.
Exactly, and I don't know if he's interested in a political run, but he's kind of the safe and trusting personality that the city of Portland can get behind.
I heard he has Whoopi Goldberg's home phone number. And if that's not a vote in my favor, I don't know what is.
I mean, I don't. Why would I like that? I don't know. I don't watch Eddie every week. What?
Well, I wanted to talk just briefly about the 3 people that I am endorsing. I have 3 undecided voters who I think they could add some confusion in the city council as well. Jim Jones is one. He's my neighbor. I've known him for 5 years since he moved in, and he just got a new roof. He's very fiscal.
Is this the same Jim Jones, the rapper from Dipset?
He's keeping a low profile, but I don't think it's him. I think he's a lawyer.
So this is not to be confused with the Jim Jones, the cult leader from the late 70s, early 80s.
That he might.
I believe he died in 1978.
I think there's a lot of Jim Joneses.
You believe that, but you
So
liberals
make
believe
sure
a
you're
lot.
voting for the right Jim Jones.
Right. And actually, that leads me to my next candidate, whose name also coincidentally is Jim Jones. He is, I see him mostly on the streets of Congress Street. Usually hangs out in the bus shelter. And Jim is just a visionary. I think that he has a lot to say about Portland. He sees it every day when he opens his eyes.
Yeah. And he has a lot to say about different things. I know Jim Jones very well. He has a lot to say about one world governments and aliens, conspiracies. He's a really interesting character. I think he has a lot of interesting ideas.
He knows a lot of secrets about this town.
Yeah.
Tunnels. secret doors, ladders into the sky. I don't know. Jim Jones has told me about these things.
Wow, he sounds a lot like the cult leader, Jim Jones.
Yeah.
He's the secret keeper, and you don't want to mess with the secret keeper.
Right, that's who you want in the government, especially somebody like you. He would instill fear. That's what your party's all about.
All right, I'm just receiving word that we need to move on. We'll have to get to my final candidate in the web-only exclusive that I'll do later. And we have to talk about the congressional race here in the state of Maine. Now, we have 3 major candidates running.
This is the Senate race.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Senate.
Because there's no way his candidates are going to win the congressional seats.
Pretty
They don't
much.
have a shot.
I mean, officially, I don't agree with that whatsoever, but I mean, come on.
The Congress, the Senate, the House of Representatives, these are just groups of people.
Yeah.
Am I right? Now, what we're trying to do is add some more people from Maine into these groups of people.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we're trying to do here. We've got 3 people, right? Cynthia Dill, who
Yep.
you
I'm a supporter.
support.
Ugh.
Charlie Summers, who you support.
Yes.
And Angus King. I believe I'm pronouncing that.
Right, Angus King.
Now, he's a relative unknown in the field.
Yeah, a
But
dark horse candidate.
we're hopefully going to see a little bit about what's going on with this guy, Angus. I mean, come on, are you a burger or are you a
I think
politician?
he's Dutch because he's a big supporter of windmills.
Yes. I know about windmills.
I believe he did his own show actually at one point in the 80s on our rivals MPBN.
Ugh.
MPBN. Ugh, Maine Watch. What a terrible show.
This coffee just went sour.
Something we can agree on, finally.
Yes.
Yes, well, I would like to hear a little bit of each of you about the opposite party's candidate. We're just going to mix it up a little bit here. This is going to help us make some decisions. If you could just talk about Cynthia Dill a little bit.
I think I could talk a little bit about Cynthia Dill, but really, here's all you need to know. She's a lawyer, and she's from Cape Elizabeth. Ugh. She tries to relate to the common people, but I mean, who wants to talk to her? We've got enough politicians as lawyers. We need a businessman and a war veteran who can get things done because we all know government is run exactly like a business, or it should be if the liberals wouldn't get in the way. They're not trying to wrap themselves in the American flag. They're doing it like I am because I love my country.
All right, well, I'm not sure if a flag is allowed to touch a stool. If that's considered, if we could get a ruling on that at some point, that would be great.
Depends on
Yes.
what kind of
Send it to the
stool
guys.
you are talking about.
You're right. And whether or not it's on fire.
If you mean this stool, like the one that Thomas Jefferson welded, back in the 1760s, then yes, absolutely. But if you're talking about the stool from Cynthia Dill after a night at one of those fancy-pantsy restaurants, I think not.
The 60s were a crazy time, man.
Yeah.
Stool welding. Let's hear a little bit about Charlie Summers.
Charlie Summers is the kind of slick Washington fat cat that is kind of sticking it to the poor average working man. I heard that he once kicked a cat, a poor defenseless alley cat. Him and Paul LePage did that, and then they threw the cat into the Kennebec River.
Now, was
While
this a Maine
Olympia
Coon
Snow was
cat, or-
laughing at it. It was I think it was actually a tabby cat. It was some sort of mixed breed.
I was going to say, if that was a Maine Coon cat, he would be automatically disqualified for kicking Maine State cat.
And
Maine.
Yeah, Charlie Summers, he's ran for office so many times. Shouldn't we just have a limit on number of times people could run for office?
Seems like every 6 months I'm
Every
reading
6
about
months
a new
he's running.
race he's in.
He's in, exactly. Like if we had
Boston Marathon. Whoop-de-doo. Hope you win.
If you lose 2 times in an election, you're out. No more third chances. That's what, if I was elected, and I actually am running for Buxton City Council.
We ask for no self-promotion on this show, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, keep it lit on it, McGrath.
But if I was hypothetically running in a hypothetical race, I would say you run for 2 times and you're out. If we had done that way his buddy Ronald Reagan never would have been elected president, and then we never would have had, the scourge of the Missing in Action film series.
That would have been a dark day in this country if there had been no Missing in Action film series, and you know that to be true. I also want to say, in defense of that alley cat charge, that alley cat was here illegally and was preaching welfare reform in the middle of a crowded street. And so, frankly, Governor LePage and Mr. Summers did this country a service, which is what Mr. Summers has been doing, while Cynthia Dill has been whining and dining with the other limousine liberals at some fancy restaurant and trying to pretend that she's one of the people.
You might have read about that story. It was billed as Talking Cat Stops Traffic, and people could literally not move through Congress Street while this cat was just spewing all these political jargon. We interviewed from this show, and it didn't turn out well. I'm allergic to cats.
No.
I was there, and if I had had a potato gun, I would have shot it.
See, that's the kind of cold, heartless line of thinking that the Republican Party has had for years.
We do not advocate cat beatings, even if it's a talking cat and it's stopping traffic.
That talking cat, he was just speaking on subjects that are avoided by the mainstream media that we can talk about here on CTN.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about Angus King. Now, I would like to have a conversation about this to see if we can figure out what exactly an independent is
Yeah.
and where is this joker from.
An independent is just somebody that can't make up their mind. Angus King is just some rich fat cat that wants to play to both sides and have it both ways, you know? But in reality, he's in the party of Angus King.
Now, Adam, can you respond to this?
Absolutely. He built that train to nowhere, Amtrak, the Downeaster. I'm not sure where it goes, down east somewhere, probably off a cliff, just like all the money that got sunk into it.
Now, this Angus sounds like a tyrant, and I don't know if I'd ever want him to lead this state.
No, I mean, I heard he punched a second grade teacher in the stomach back in 1998 when they asked for raises for the teachers. Now, I think he could get behind that movement, but I know I couldn't. I know teachers are the backbone of America, along with community organizers.
And the spine,
Yep.
that's an important one. It has
Community
many
organizers
vertebrae.
are the backbone, folk singers, and
Are the ribs part? I don't know if they poof out, I think.
the ribs poof out. I think the jugglers would be the ribs of our nation. Jugglers and other street performers.
A
Ribs?
juggler and an educator
Yeah.
is nearly a full man.
Yeah.
And Ken Coonan.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's another thing
Retired
that we can all
principal.
agree on.
Or maybe he's
Maybe
somewhere
he's-
else. He's not
yeah.
at Deering High School anymore.
No.
Where is he? We don't know. Maybe you can tell us, folks out there.
This is
on
another
the
thing we're
internet.
undecided on. Where is Ken Coonan?
If Ken Coonan is in, he can write into the CTN studio and be on the next Making Decisions for
He
you.
absolutely. Ken, I'm talking to you. You can be on this show.
This is a direct
Same with you,
plea,
David Shapiro. Both of you.
Yes.
Anytime.
preferably at the same time.
Right. So, anyway, getting back to the issues, we've got 3 people. They all want to be our senator, okay? Now, if that's a real title, I don't know. We haven't made that decision yet. But they certainly think it's important, and they...
I mean, whoever wins, they have to put up with Susan Collins' blathering.
Yeah, I have her over my house sometimes, and she just talks the whole time. And
Talks
I'm
a
like,
mile a
"Susan,
minute, yeah.
try this dip. And she's like, not right now. I'm trying to tell you a story about the Senate.
Yeah.
You know, love her policies. I'm sure she's a great lady, but you know, I wouldn't want to have her over to my house.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
So we really need to get on to the big issue of the presidential campaign, which is coming up soon. Now, I'm sure you may have heard of Barack Obama. He is running for president against Mitchell Romney, who is also running for president. Now, I'm not even sure what parties either of them are from. Maybe you guys could shed a little light on that.
Barack Obama is a Democrat and is our best president since Jimmy Carter.
Well, let's wait till he gets elected to decide that.
Unfortunately, for the last 4 years, he has been elected, but will soon be overthrown by Willard Mitt Romney, who was born in Michigan and was the governor of Massachusetts. And unlike Mr., pot-smoking community organizer, Mr. Obama, who hangs out at a lot of, hippie sit-ins and sings Kumbaya and We Shall Overcome, he ran a business, Maine Capital, is going to get this country back on track.
Now, that is one thing I did hear about Will Romney, and that's that he does not smoke pot with a bunch of hippies. He smokes pot with those weird guys who wear tracksuits and have
And their
shaved
weird
heads.
underwear,
They all have shaved heads, every single
matching
one of them.
underwear too.
The way that you're
Yeah.
supposed to.
Right. Yeah, that's.
I
you're
don't
right.
see smoking cannabis, the cannabis leaf, as a bad thing. It keeps you cool and on an even keel. I think, there's no denying that Obama, he probably still smokes the jazz cigarettes. I think Mitt Romney, he should probably smoke more jazz cigarettes instead of evicting people from their apartments and, kicking cats with Jazz Summers and Paul LePage.
I think, if people don't pay their rent, they should be evicted. That's why at the beginning of the film Rent, I always get very angry when they say, we're not going to pay this year's rent. I'm on the side of the landlord. Throw them out. Stop making your damn art projects and your arty videos about the city of New York and, oh, we're all having an experience. 520,600 minutes, you can have that on the street, along with all the other, gay artists having a sit-in or whatever, and leave the people that pay taxes and have a job to have the apartment.
I never thought about it that way.
That's twisted thinking. This is the kind of thinking that got him and G. Gordon Liddy back in that legal fracas over in Nicaragua back in '93.
Fracas.
That was in the 80s, and,
Now, I have a question about Brock. Does he have anything to do with the Boulder Badge guy? He won Pokemon. He was in the Pokemon show. He's
Brock,
Brock.
the leader of the Pewter City Gym, I
Yeah.
believe you mean.
sure.
Yes.
If he had enslaved animals, would he be able to win the Boulder Badge?
I'm
That's
not
Japanese.
sure. He has a dog named Bo, and his dog Bo is, he's not the toughest dog in the race, but he's very smart. That's what we need, the kind of policy we need in America. We need nice, sensible dogs instead of the Rottweilers of the Republican Party.
Now-
we need a nice, middle-of-the-brow dog, something that's small, but not too foofy.
Now, you guys are both experienced political tongues. You're over here talking jargon that I frankly don't understand. But what I am hearing from you is that dogs seem to be better than cats. If this dog Bo can run the country, and these cats are getting kicked by Charlie Summers, I think I know.
Right.
I want to vote for dogs.
Right, I would vote for dogs as well. I mean, cats, who would have a cat would be somebody like Ralph Nader, who ruined our country when he let George W. Bush get elected.
Now,
and he ruined the dreams of my main man, Al Gore.
The election is in November,
Yes,
and it's the first Tuesday in November.
yes.
And we're all going to have several questions that we're going to have to answer. We're going to go in a private area, and you're not allowed to talk to anybody while you're in there. You just have to take this little test that they give you.
Yes.
Right. And so dogs is one decision that's already been made. We'll check that one off the list.
Yes.
In terms of the presidential campaign, we've got Brock and we've got Will. All right? Now, I don't know, there's several other people running. I think there's a write-in area as well.
Yes.
I really didn't feel
Roseanne's
like
running for president.
Roseanne Barr was on TV once.
Yes. She had a sitcom for very many years.
That's right.
I would not be suited to vote for her simply on the fact that she was married to Tom Arnold. And anybody who makes that decision is not the one that you want making decisions for you.
Well, also,
However,
I've laughed out loud at Tom Arnold. Let me just say that, and then you can go ahead.
if Felicia Rashad from The Cosby Show was running, I would vote for Claire Huxtable. She is a very strong woman. I think she'd be a strong leader. She ran the Huxtable family for 8 years.
I think she's a dog person.
And she is a dog person, yep.
I read that on one of her profiles online.
well, also, Roseanne's family won the lottery and then lost it all, and it turns out it was a dream. Any woman who hallucinates a year of her life winning the lottery, then wakes up to find out that John Goodman is dead, is not someone that you want to be your president.
And now, there's also the Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson, who has actually won the official endorsement of the Insane Clown Posse, as well as former WWF superstar Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So those are definitely worthy voices in the political spectrum, and that's worth considering. The Libertarian Party likes pot and prostitutes, except unlike this guy, they're a bit more open about stating it, whereas this guy kind of has to keep everything hidden.
Officially, I don't.
Offshore bank accounts.
Offshore bank accounts. They're just open about all the evil stuff.
That's right.
And
Now,
they hate war. They're just a bunch of.
anyone from America hates war, and I don't understand. You just got to get on board. We've been winning the whole time.
Right?
Now, we've got Charles Sumter, Synth Pickle, and Angus King.
Angus King.
Right. And they're all running, and they're all going to be names there. And then we mentioned some random people. Two of them were named Jim Jones at the beginning.
Yep.
Felicia was.
Felicia Rashad from The Cosby Show.
That's
Yes.
not weird. That's not what we were talking about, though. There was 2 other people.
Oh, yeah, Rob Caldwell for city council.
Rob.
Yes.
Yes. And Willie.
It was the people's hero, Philip Morris.
Philip Morris. That's right. So all these people are possibilities.
If he's still alive, I think he should run. Frankly, I have no idea where he is. Call me, Philip. I want to know that you're okay.
He probably watches this show, too.
Now, one of my favorite things to do when I get in the voting booth is I read over the thing as many times as possible. Now, you'll get knocks. Periodically, people will tell you, you got to get out of the booth.
I've been to this
Please make up your mind.
I've been to the voting booth with this guy. Back in
take
04,
forever.
back in 04, he was in there for 8 hours, and he ended up not voting. He just walked out. He was too overwhelmed
Well,
by
what
it.
I usually have started doing, because they get mad at you when you just walk out, is I'll feel bad for the guy who has to count all the votes. So I'll write in the little open for your suggestion box, I'll write, you decide, with a little question mark. So it's like, do I even get to decide? When he gets it, he's like, I could decide, or I don't know what to do. But then I sign it, so he knows whatever that guy decides is fine by me. That's my legal vote.
Now, I know a Turkish guy named You Decide. So maybe if enough people write that, though, he'll get elected. And I know he's not into politics. He runs the mobile station out on Allen Avenue.
But I know that guy, and he's a dog person, and I think he'd be perfect for president.
Perhaps, maybe you want to vote for You Decide. He's done a great job running the mobile on Allen Avenue.
That's true. They do have very reasonable prices.
Is it true? An undecided, a Democrat, and a Republican are all agreeing that you should write in "you decide" with a question mark on your write-in things for president? That looks like the decision that we just made. The decision has been made.
The decision has been made.
You decide.
You Decide, almost nearly as good as Barack Hussein Obama, our president.
Or as Willard Mitt Romney, who will not shrink when you throw water on him like Geodude or Onyx.
Or the witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Are you
That's
comparing?
true.
Are you
She
saying?
shrinks. I don't know if she dies. She turns into smoke, I think.
Are you
She does die. She melts.
Are
If
you
you remember, she says, I'm melting.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, what a world.
Oh, what a world, my pretty. I think she's referring to Dorothy or the dog. They're both very pretty.
Possibly the Scarecrow. She did say, how about a little fire, Scarecrow? And he goes, whoa.
Yeah.
I may have seen that movie once or twice or 30 times.
It's all about socialism, The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I heard it's a metaphor for Pink Floyd's end and demise with Syd Barrett when they split ways. But that's for another Making Decisions for you. I've
Absolutely.
always been Anders Nielsen ever since I was born. This has always been Conor McGrath, and that's always been Adam Ferguson. He's not always been a doctor, but he has been recently anointed.
And any of his friends that want to ask, we do have our birth certificates available on the show's website.
Good night.
Good night.
I love you.
Talk to each other.
Can
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming.
Thank you. Is that Twilight? Is that the final Twilight book?
Yes, Twilight's
Last
Last
Gleaming.
Gleaming.
Yes.
Thank God. That series needs to die.
Yeah. It's no Lion Witch in the Wardrobe.
The decision was made on that shit a while ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
New Moon. More like I mooned the theater
Yeah.
because I was like, I'm not watching that.
My mom's actually reading the 50 Shades of Grey. books
Isn't that a
right
porno?
now. It's like, well, apparently it was like Twilight erotic fan fiction where they just changed all the
They
characters'
changed the names.
names.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it was like
ridiculous.
porn, like literary porn. If you don't want to just watch it on the internet, I guess you can read it. Put it on your Nook.
When is somebody going to come out with Making Decisions for You? Erotic fiction.
Erotic fan fiction where they
Yeah.
get to meet us.
Just a crossover with another show. Making Decisions for You.
Oh,
Gilmore Gilmore Girls.
Hey. I am open to that.
Yeah.
As long as I don't get stuck with Luke, I'm fine.
More of a Jess kind of guy.
I don't remember their
Maybe
names.
Dean, I think, or
Lori
somebody
or-
else.
Yeah.
Lorelai.
Lorelai. Yeah.
And then I watched a lot of that show. I
have
don't know
a-
why.
I have a mother and a sister, and they would watch it a lot.
Yeah.
And I would watch it with them. And then I fell off it, but they kept going.